might take us a minute to get there.
Are you gonna do to the community or to the yoga house page?
It won't let me do it to either of those unless I'm an admin, so I have to have it on ours.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I didn't realize you needed to do that. I would have done that for you. Did you ask me that to do that?
No, and I was trying to figure something out this morning so we could do it to the page and the group, and like
Oh,
I'm gonna have it figured out for next time, but this time is not
the time.
happening. I'm lucky to have made it this far today.
I'm glad. Me too. Yeah, I'm here.
That's, yeah. Yeah.
I can't even believe I'm here actually, but I can. And we're set up and we're here. I'm gonna grab my packs though, and then I'm gonna. Oh, you're live on Facebook. Okay, I'm gonna grab.
You can go. It's fine.
Okay, cool. I'm about to go live on Instagram. I'll be right back.
So you're gonna go live and I'll join.
Either ways, if I take too long, you can go live first.
No, you can, because you know how to like record it and stuff. I've like never
done that.
Gone live.
I got it.
And if you're on Facebook with us, it shall be just a moment while we finish getting some technical difficulties sorted out. No. All right. We will be right with you if you're watching on Facebook. It is taking us a moment to sort out some things. Facebook with us. It shall be just a moment while we finish getting some technical difficulties sorted out.
Almost there.
You're almost there? Okay.
Okay. I am back.
All right.
Live on Instagram. Sorry for those that are waiting
You're good.
on Facebook.
And then I think once we are live on Instagram, also, Chanel, one of us has to mute ourselves on the laptop.
Oh yeah, I'll mute myself.
Okay,
I can do it now.
cool. There we go.
Oh, I forgot you can't hear me. All right, so
Okay, I think we got it. You are cutting out real bad.
Am I?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna work. Hi, everybody. Are trying to figure out internet connection. It's going to take us 1 second or two. Alrighty. Sorry about that. Also, technology is not always the greatest friend. I hope all of you are enjoying your Sunday so far. Where'd you disappear to, man? Alrighty. Chanel. Oh, thank you. He's outside working on it right now, so I will let him know as soon as we're done. That you like it so much.
okay, cool. My apologies for that. So I muted on this end.
You got to turn your volume off on something. Yep, there you go. So your laptop should be muted and have no volume on it.
Okay, cool.
And then mine's unmuted with volume. So now I wish Facebook and IG like could figure their shit out, but one day maybe, you know, I mean, it is the same company, but.
Right. All right. Sorry, we are like tag teaming right now. I'm upstairs with the baby. I am down here with Lilo.
Oh, you're good.
So we're sharing one. All right. If you want to maybe introduce us to how the Ganja yoga class begins.
Yeah, so today, well, I'm Rebecca, co-founder of Growing Organic and yoga teacher at Yoga House and yeah, human. And so I've been putting on Ganja yoga for a few months now, and how these Sundays are set up is we have an hour of education on cannabis, and then we follow that up with 30 minutes of smoking session and 90 minutes of relaxation-based yoga. And most of the yoga is laying down on your back or your stomach, your hands and knees. You never stand up at all. You're always within like 2 feet of the floor, and you're always more than welcome to take a nap the entire time. That's also cool, and yoga, as long as it's done intentionally. And so, yeah, and today we're going to be going over cannabis and addiction, specifically drug addiction, and how cannabis can be a super powerful ally to people dealing with opiate and other addictions. And then I'll let you introduce yourself.
Beautiful. My name is Chanel. I am the new owner of Colorado Yoga House, and Becca and I have known each other and gotten to collaborate via Yoga House, and it's really quite an exciting thing to be able to do this now in a new way as we shifted to the Aquarian Age. I think that it's important that we can come out with the truth about cannabis, and that it's been hazed with so much propaganda and, labeled as a drug, when, Beck and I both connected on how much cannabis has healed us and continues to sustain us in our daily practices when it comes to mental health, physical health, emotional health, all the good, lovely stuff. And then, of course, shining light on addiction and how cannabis can actually really help with addiction. Now, I've used cannabis to get off of antidepressants, and so that was almost like a physical addiction. Like, I needed to use that in order for me to like sustain a certain amount of serotonin or whatever. So I was able to use cannabis as a means to not use antidepressants anymore. So that is kind of my most triumphant experience. And Beck and I both talked about how it's time when we come out and are honest about, how this incredible plant is a medicine over a drug, and just also get to absorb more of these teachings, because it's just so fascinating and it's a lot of fun.
It is. It is a lot of fun. And yeah, to touch on the antidepressant part specifically, it's like people forget that pharmaceuticals doctors prescribe can instantly become addictive. And I've gone to lots of drug rehabilitation centers as a patient. I've also worked at them, and patients coming in on psych meds are the worst. Like, it is the gnarliest thing to watch, like mentally and emotionally and physically, for these people to get their brains back and like have them function on their own instead of being supplemented with all different sorts of stimulants, whatever type of pharmaceutical you choose, Opiates are a whole nother subject, I feel like, on that. so yeah, it's like, it's oftentimes people forget that cannabis can be used as a medicine for these mental health drugs, and then also for people like in active detox, like actively kicking heroin or methadone, Suboxone, meth, cocaine, whatever it is. Like, there's studies coming out now, they're super limited, but they're coming, and the floodgates are gonna open, showing how beneficial it is for people with addictive behaviors.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited to learn more about that, especially because I want to be a place of possible people that are on that path of recovery and want to stay their path. And so that's kind of where I really like to come in here with the fact that, people that are on the path of sobriety might look at cannabis like it's a drug because of this propaganda and all of these topics that we've gone over in past sorry. Sorry. Anyways, just in past Ganja Yoga little educationals. And yeah, it's incredible how much we view cannabis like it's, part of, the war on drugs or whatever. It's just a part of the problem when really a lot of people are healing. And I've had a lot of friends that are on that path of sobriety and really try to stay away from pot and but then realize that pot's not the problem, And it's actually been really helping, and it helps kind of, honor just the path of sobriety. So I like to view it like medicine overall.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, the National Institute of Health has now come out and said that marijuana is not the gateway drug, it's alcohol. So you already are having this info like, oh, all these years, everyone's like, it's alcohol or it's weed. And I had my first drink when I was 11. I didn't smoke pot until I was 14, 15. So yeah, it's alcohol. I mean, I think I ate Xanax before I smoked pot. No. So it's like, it's crazy to see that they demonized it for so long, and we covered a lot of that in the 2 history lessons, showing how it's super like tied to politics and just demonizing certain people for the benefit of others. And they like sacrificed, the medicinal values of cannabis in the process and threw it out. It's like, but we covered it in history, I guess a couple months ago. Cannabis was used as a pain reliever for childbirth. They would pack the abdomen full of hash and to ease childbirth and to like help get the babies out. And so it's crazy. They'd be burning it around them. Like mom was lit. She's, like she was getting the baby out and she wasn't miserable and she wasn't shot up with some synthetic chemical that some human made because he thinks he's smarter than nature, and it's like, you're not smarter.
But what's funny is that, like, with you saying that, like, I just have to shine light on this. Like, when you get an epidural, like, that is an extreme drug, like, and we don't view it like that, obviously, but it's just so funny how the media or just mainstream consciousness, like, views something like an epidural. I mean, there's a reason why plenty of awoken mothers don't want, for some that don't want to have to get it, thank God that the epidural is there, but just for most of us that are just choosing that path of, oh, I'm just going to have an epidural when I have a baby or when I'm giving birth, it's like, but you still look at pot as a drug and you're, it's just really funny how those two worlds kind of.
I don't really understand the disconnect in that one. Yeah.
No. I would never put not one day in my life. I think it would be like last resort if I absolutely had to, medical emergency, here we are, yes, let's do it. Otherwise, no. The only thing I want to put my body as I'm giving birth to my baby, or even just like while during pregnancy, is a plant.
Yeah, and that's like logical.
Not any kind of chemical.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of like where our thing or our life is, like that, removing all the chemicals. Obviously we're like super big on removing all the chemicals, and yeah, and removing them from your body. Like we're already, like the air we breathe is so toxic already, like there's no reason to add these other chemicals in. And I mean, for AJ and I, we injected many chemicals into our bodies for many a years, and you know, it's like you feel a certain way when you do that, and then when you cleanse and you detox and you sweat out all of these gnarly drugs that you've taken, you feel so much different and better. So it's just, you can tell just by those chemicals, like from being a drug addict to being clean and sober, like feeling those differences. And then I know people, you know, that feel subtle differences of like using chemical based face cleaners, but then they switch to natural plants and bam, like their whole face cleans up and everything's great. It's like, so you have to go back to the plants. Like it's, the plants have all of the answers, whether you want to believe it or not. Oh, it froze.
Right, and then light them up. Am I frozen?
Not now. You kind of keep cutting in and out.
Yeah, I'm not sure why my service is not great. Anyways, why don't you keep going? Because if I'm cutting out, am I good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can you understand me?
Yeah, now you're good. Now you're not cutting out at all. You're good.
Okay, cool. But I was just saying, yeah, in light of motherhood, I feel like, you know, becoming pregnant was like a huge point in my life of like not wanting to accept any form of chemicals in my body, in my home, around my family in any way, shape, or form. And everything became mostly plants, even from our diet to how we clean things. Like everything is just kind of surrounded by plants. And so there's this like, you know, deep gratitude and appreciation, and especially that there's a plant that can provide what some of these chemical medicines are providing people to just get by, right? Like,
well, yeah, it's like the chemical medicines aren't providing them shit though. So like it's a false lie, you know, like you're providing them this relief, but you're giving them like an assload of side effects, and you're a lifetime sentence of using these pills when like you could grow your own plants. It all comes back to profits eventually, which is sad. And then, but that's how it is. Like that's what happens. And yeah, I mean, I think my switch to natural living happened my last day in rehab. So that was like 8 years ago now. Yeah, 8 years. And as I got clean, like the longer I stayed clean and like really cleaned up my mind shit that was going on, the more I was like, just realized like these people have lied to me my whole life. Like they've been, I grew up in Florida, so we had pill mills out the wazoo. I could go to 4 doctors in a day and go to 4 different pharmacies and have, you know, a couple thousand pills by the end of the day. It was absolutely insane that this is something that you could do, but you could. And they did this to people that like didn't know. Like I went in knowingly, like I fucking want your drugs because I want to get high. But these other people, you know, like I knew a vet, and he was in his 50s or 60s. He got half his leg blown off by a grenade. And so he goes to the doctor because he's got phantom pain down in his leg and he can't deal with it. And they give him oxys, 350 60 milligrams for 30 days and 350 30 milligrams and then 150 15 milligrams. So in Florida, you could use 15 milligrams at your second or third hour mark in between your 4 to 6 window of your 30 milligrams. It was like your buffer. And so like he had no idea he was going to get sick. And so like I get a phone call one day because I bought drugs from him. And he's like, I'm so sick, I'm vomiting everywhere, like what's going on? And I'm like, oh, like your doctor didn't tell you, dude? And he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, damn, like, so like they don't inform patients, like they, or at least they didn't at a time. And like this, like lying and deceit, and we can see it now with what's going on in this pandemic as well, whether you want to believe it or not, they're lying to you. And like all that lying and gross, nasty behavior is really what started me realizing like I need a better way of life, and plants are the answer, and a natural way is the answer. And yeah, I didn't use pot to, or cannabis to go through my detox or go through my treatment, but I did use pot afterwards, because if I didn't, a therapist would have been like, oh, you're anxious and depressed and here's all these pills. And it's like, oh, I'm going to go back to the friend that I know and can trust. And that's, you know, the planet.
Right.
But it's interesting because, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go.
Well, it's just funny because I'll try pot at a young age. You know, I was 12 when I first tried pot, and that was very young. I felt like to me, but my friend's brother had it, and yeah, I remember just giggling a lot, and we didn't want to go anywhere, and we were just like talking about like the cartoons and the whatever that we were watching at the time. I watched cartoons for a very late age in life. You know, I've always been like a kid at heart, and I feel like by smoking weed, it didn't take away from my childlike spirit. You know, even at 12, where it's like a lot of kids that are 12 are trying to become like little grown adults, girls trying to wear makeup and sexy clothes and all the things, and boys just like trying to get high on weed. No, but yeah, I just remember it being like really adolescent, you know, it like didn't rob me of anything. And I've had a lot of things that have robbed my childhood, so to speak, you know, and alcohol being one of them, not for me, but maybe like use around me, right? But if my parents were potheads, maybe things would have been a little bit different. My mom didn't really, my mom doesn't drink at all, but you know, my dad was a drinker, and you know, it was fine, but still, it's like, it's funny how alcohol can really rob a child, like when a child is surrounded by alcohol, how it can rob them of their childhood if the parent is absent or whatever, you know. But like with, I just don't see the same sentiment, you know. And,
well, yeah, I mean, there's studies showing that like parents that smoke pot are more willing to like hang out with their kids and play games, or like go to the park and run around and play tag. And then like the ones that don't and are just like waiting for their glass of wine at home are like, can you hurry the fuck up? I want to go home. And then stick them in front of the TV so they can start drinking. Yeah, so that's an interesting thing. Cannabis is being shown to help people with alcoholism though, so that's some good news. And yeah, it's just really interesting because people just, like, even when I was in treatment, there would be, you know, 18-year-old kids there whose parents sent them there for cannabis. And that poor kid would leave with a whole brand new education that their parents did not pay for.
No, and then it's like, how are you overexposing them? You're sending them away for weeks. They're seeing some serious drugs that they're not even trying to get into.
Yeah, and some of them come back and are addicted to new drugs. I mean, if you work at a treatment center for long enough, you see lots of people come back multiple times, and it's just the way it is. It's a cycle, and it takes a lot of time to get out of that cycle. And unfortunately, innocent college kids that like had good grades, but their parents caught them with weed get sent, you know, and they leave, and then they're like, oh, well, now I want to try all these other great things. And it leads to problems. I think what's really interesting right now is some of the info on using weed as like the way to get off drugs. Like how it reacts with the different receptors that we have, that sometimes the drugs take if we are like, you know, using opiates or meth or something else. But then cannabis kind of helps mitigate these problems.
Yeah. Do you maybe like expand on like just like one problem maybe like where cannabis could really be helpful?
So what they're finding out is that it's basically like when you use cannabis, and it can be primarily CBD if you're like not wanting to get high, but they're finding that when you use it, it activates all of these anti-inflammatory things, and so in the body, and so that reduces the inflammation, which when you're using a heavy amount of opiates, you're creating a lot of inflammation in your brain and your gut, because if you've ever taken a lot of opiates, you stop shitting very quickly, and like some heroin addicts won't have taken a poop for 2 months when they come into treatment, and so like their gut is super inflamed and painful, and then the brain's also inflamed from just the overload of dopamine and other chemicals being ushered up there for the feel-good sensations. And by reducing this inflammation, it's helping like reduce the amount of withdrawal symptoms that they're feeling, especially like mentally, headaches and different things, not necessarily some of the physical muscle pains and such, but as you reduce the inflammation, the symptoms start to reduce. Because I'm sure even with antidepressants, if you didn't take them for like a day or two, you would feel something off that was not like kosher.
Like every 12 hours, I can just feel it. And I don't even know if it was like a placebo thing or not. I need this to just be up here because I can't go back down there. And every time I don't have my pill, like there have been days that I missed it. I couldn't even tell if I was just making a lot out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Or I felt like I needed to take it because I was what I would always call like my world was crashing down on me. And like this is why I would take my pills, and then also I would also try to use cannabis too as a way to help just like my brain. I don't know, at 18 it was really rough. I have always been a very happy, loving, like go-lucky human being, and then I kind of realized all of the lies, that we were briefly just talking about, and just the fact that maybe our government and some of the greater people in our humanity aren't necessarily looking for our best interests at heart, and it just really pained me. I didn't want to be a part of a world like that anymore, and I really wanted to get out as fast as possible. And I realized how many people loved me and wanted to see me thrive, and I wanted to see myself thrive. I mean, I was pretty stoked on life for the most part there, and then I kind of woke up and realized like how dark some of this world can be, and so it was like my service and my humanity to keep myself alive, and that was the reason why I would take my antidepressants as like vigilant as I would. And then I was just looking for a way out, and cannabis, I really feel like I would use cannabis every now and again. Sometimes I wouldn't, just because sometimes it would, instigate anxiety and things like that. But there was a time where I was able to just start to dedicate. I don't know why. Maybe it was the plant itself, or just every now and again when you do have just like the best time, you smoke a little bit, you giggle, you just like release so much, you feel so much, that I just started to wanting to like, dedicate myself to it, and really being conscious. Okay, maybe it's not about how much, but it's about like timing and the environment, and really treating it sacredly. And I noticed from that I was able to get higher literally than the antidepressants could ever. Like they brought me to they just help you get by. All of the pharmaceuticals, it's like, and some of those don't even help you get by, but they put the placebo, or not the placebo, but the effect that you're getting by, when really you're not. And so, yeah, I guess sorry, I'm not sure if I answered that question correctly or not.
You're good. You're all good. Oh, I don't remember where I was going with it. I kind of lost my train of thought on the whole thing. But something that came to my mind while you were talking about all of that is that just when you're in active addiction, you would notice, like, you know, I was still into psychedelics and cannabis, but you used a lot less of it when you're in active addiction because it's, you know, you're not being mindful, you're just popping pills or shooting up or whatever your choice of enjoyment is. And but like when you have to smoke, you have to pause and stop and like get your dabs out or break up weed and like actually do the whole thing. And that in itself like creates that mindfulness, but also like when you're in that like active, like just want to get high, you usually like don't smoke a lot of pot. But then like if I would take like mushrooms or acid or something like that day, I would feel like the most nastiest person ever, from like just being like, oh my god, like who is this, like in this body, like living this gross nasty life, like what choices are you making, dude? And like even the cannabis would have you questioning like,
Yeah.
I'm making this decision that's like not good, but and so like you almost avoid all of these things that are like gonna bring to light like, hey dude, you're like not on your path, you know, you're off path, you're off road, you need to get back on. And I feel like cannabis and psychedelics too definitely like help you just whoosh, get back on to.
Oh, you know, because like, okay, so funny on that note, you know, you're going bebopping through life. I noticed that like when I'm kind of, you know, I haven't smoked all day, maybe it's been a couple of days, maybe it's been like a few weeks. I notice I start making these, and I have to ask myself, I'm like, am I aligned in this decision? And I'm like, whatever, I feel like I am. Like, why wouldn't I be? This is a very
it's that motherly, loving energy of Mary Jane being like, hey, what are you doing?
And I'll smoke, and then have just like almost a list of things of like how I was not aligned in my highest self. And so I had to ask myself, it's like, although clarity and sobriety and, you know, this is why I don't look at weed like a drug, but it's like, how come sometimes when I smoke, I feel I can see more of my honesty, more of my truth, and less of the programming, or less of, because that's what happens with psychedelics, is the programming completely like dismantles itself in your brain, and you can start to see everything, and you're like, oh my god, I feel so much better. And it's like, oh, what you don't realize is that you're so pressurized by society and all the time that you're becoming apathetic. You know, so what I think is like me being aligned in my like, oh yeah, I'm clear, I'm sober, I'm on my thing, I'm doing it. I might still be picking up programming that isn't me, that isn't my truth, that doesn't fit well. And this is where that medicine comes in to kind of remind you. That's it. It's just a reminder. It's not like taking over and trying to give you something that you don't have. You know, it's just trying to bring to light what you already are. And that's why you don't go chase after a high. You're more so just sitting down with the teacher every single time. And that's where even like with antidepressants, I didn't want to necessarily use weed because I wasn't ready to sit down with the teacher. I was like,
yeah, I mean, and it totally is like sitting down to a teacher. Like you're either ready or you're not. And that's why people smoke and have severe anxiety sometimes. You know, it's like that's going on inside of you when you're not smoking. You're just shoving it down there nice and far so you don't feel it. And then all of a sudden it's like whoosh, smacks you in the face when you get high.
Exactly. Gosh, and then we blame the supplement, but I think the coolest thing about marijuana, especially if you use it properly, is you cannot blame it for how you are. You know, you just have to see yourself.
You have to ask.
That's all it is.
You have to be like, why?
Yeah.
You know, like wonder what's going on.
There have been so many times where I've just gotten like, honestly, like lightly stoned, but it triggered enough of a thought wave process where I was like, oh my God, everything that I thought I knew as this thing that was myself is actually something that was suggested to me as a child. And I'm like so embarrassed and disgusted with myself because I thought I was living in honesty, and here I am like continuing this, I don't know, facade. And I think that's where it's funny where the cannabis and the antidepressants kind of come in as one, because I stopped wanting to participate in society when I realized how dark people in the world really can be. And then cannabis is the other side of that, where it's like, actually, I do want to be a part of this, and I want to be an activist, I want to fight, and I want to stand up for what I believe in, because I've seen enough honesty, I've seen enough truth, and I have enough strength inside of myself where I want to do something about it. And this is why you would see all of those potheads in the 60s and the drug addicts and the activism right there going hand in hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take it from like, drugging yourself into apathy to drugging yourself into motivation. It's like
into love.
Yeah. So it's just interesting, because all based on a perspective, but we have to know one form or another, whether it's coffee or tea or what the news, you're consuming something, and it's still acting like a form of the drug. Like, we do addiction meditation not because we're addicted to drugs, but because addictions and neuroses lives in literally every little action in which you take, the way in which you see the world, the way in which you take in the world, all based on habit. And is it your habit that you want to keep, or is the habit that you built based off of maybe a trauma or some stuff that did go right, and this is just how you're getting by now? It's like,
yeah. And I mean, I feel like
habit,
people that have been through trauma and have come out the other side, even if it's just a little smidge, kind of know or can see that that's like, you're addicted, that like mentality of like overthinking the event and just like all these things of like, or feeling certain ways, and now you create habits to feel safe. And so like maybe your habit is like staying home and not having friends, because like if you have friends, something bad's gonna happen, but now it's like you made this habit to keep you safe, but like, are you really safe? And is the habit's based off something that happened in the past, not like now you're safe, you're not in the same environment, this person's not around anymore, things are different, but your brain like doesn't accept it all the time. It takes a while for your mind to be like, oh yeah, it's like been 10 years, hello, time to get over it and let go a little bit.
I have like a billion things coming to me right now, like, oh my god, this and this and this. Like, for instance, for being a non-energy type, like as a projector or a reflector, it's so easy to be influenced by society and then hate yourself and hate the world and not want to have anything to do with it, and turn to drugs because you're so sad because you don't know how to relate to anything else, because the collective is this way and you can't find yourself in those ways. Those empty energy centers are just looking for something to fill, and if you're surrounded by a bunch of like people that are being a certain way that are not real, it's like you're gonna adopt that, see that, hate it, right? And this is why I actually resonate with a lot of people on the same. A lot of my best friends are like this, and a lot of them smoke weed, and a lot of them have healed a lot of their issues with weed, just based off of what I just said. And even on that, when we start to change our perspective and how we perceive something, and if something is working for you, but maybe society's like, that's not good, but if something is working for you, where you're able to kind of find your way back to light, find your way back to wanting to do something, finding your way back to having motivation for yourself, it's like, is that all that bad?
Well, yeah, I think cannabis provides all of that, like, so like if you're in this, some kind of trauma that's really horrible or minor, whatever, it puts you into this depression and you're really sad and you don't leave, but like you have pot, like you have weed. And so you smoke weed every day, and eventually like your like physiology is changed. So people that have experienced large amounts of trauma and are diagnosed with PTSD or different variations of it, their body begins to create excess CB1 receptors in the body from the endocannabinoid system. So now instead of like 100 of them, you have 500, because your body's like, oh my gosh, I need these proteins. But the funny thing is you're traumatized, so your body's not creating its endogenous endocannabinoids, it's not creating anandamide. Or there's another one and it has a super long name and I don't remember it. So it's not creating those. So if you add cannabis, now these excess receptors that your body created can be filled, and that's when relief starts being like truly felt from the plant. And so even if you sit in your dark cave for a whole year, your body is still like healing, yeah, I mean, I didn't have friends for like a whole year when I moved out here. I just sat at home like depressed, miserable human being. So it's like eventually though, things start to change, and then your body is like, okay, you're ready. Like it's time for you to take that next step and like let go of this habit or this addiction, and move to your next level. And I think it's all about just shedding, small, like maybe it's massive addictions, like major drug addiction or something, or maybe it's a super small addiction, and you just start slowly shedding all of the addictions until you're your truest self,
You know, that I always come back to cannabis. I'm like, will there ever be a time where I don't use it? And we talked about this in maybe like one or two the Ganja educationals ago. It's like, well, maybe it's because I'm still perceiving it like a drug and not like medicine. Would I just stop taking my vitamins? It's like, would I ever like love to where I don't need my vitamins anymore? But I always come back to like, is there ever going to be a time where like, and I always check in with that because I want to be honest with my cannabis use. And I'm like, yoga and cannabis are my cheapest forms of therapy. Like, that's my therapy. And yeah, maybe when you're done with therapy and there have been times when I've outgrown therapy and I'm like, hey, I don't need this anymore. But I always have some steady therapy no matter what. And so, I'm still, I always evaluate cannabis, because I never want to abuse it, especially because I've been around substance abuse a lot, and I've seen what it's done to people and their psyche and how they see themselves in the world, and that maybe they're not that important or whatever, and that they can kind of just let themselves dwindle. And I can't, being a mom and just being a human that's really trying to make a difference in this world, and that's where I come right back to the cannabis, where it's like cannabis, when I don't take it and I don't use it as a medicine, I become apathetic, I become like, oh, whatever, I don't care anymore, like, just who cares, but then when I do, it's like the heart comes back, the fight comes back. So I just wanted to add that tip because I do reevaluate even with cannabis, like, oh, do I need this? Have I outgrown this? And what I notice is styles of like, whether it be like a bong, like, no, maybe I don't need to smoke a bong, but maybe I can eat a gummy bear, when I'm feeling a little off. Or maybe, I switch to completely vaping, which, and I feel like it always changes, but because there's so many different applications of the medicine itself, maybe you would never really have to outgrow it, right? It's like,
it grows with you.
Right, it grows with you. Okay, and I was gonna ask
well, yeah, because like when we talked about the history, the very first time, all the way back to the little sea squirts, it's like the plant was formed after the endocannabinoid system existed, and then the plant has grown. Like in past times, it was heavy CBD plants, and then as time has gone on and society has become more fucked up, sorry, Lulu. The plant has become higher in THC to deal with this like things we're watching happen in our world. And now we're seeing a resurgence of CBD heavy things, and I think that's primarily politics and not necessarily like how the plant's evolving on its own. but I think it's something that has to happen so more people are willing to accept the plant as medicine. So let them keep pushing it so more people can accept the fact that it's medicine. And
Right.
I totally just, my whole brain just
I like that.
left. So I hope that was a good end of thought, because
Like outgrowing cannabis.
oh yeah, and it grows with you.
Here, hold on a second.
Oh, you're fine. But yeah, and then so it's just shown that the plants changed over time and it's wild habitat, so it's natural for the people to also be changing. I mean, we can see from studies that are showing like soil that's super unhealthy actually leads to unhealthy humans. Oh, imagine that, it's all connected. And this basically, like, we're growing with it and what we do affects it, and then it changes so that we can figure out, or it changes so it can provide us with what we need at that time. So thousands of years ago they needed high CBD plants because they were already pretty enlightened at that point. Like, they didn't need to have any psychoactive effects. They saw how beautiful reality is, and were able to sit in that. And society has continually gotten more and more complicated over the centuries, and this complication is what I think has led to the plant changing to offer more THC and more relaxation, sedative effects, so that we can sit back and take a moment and relax and really see like what we have in front of us for what it really is. We disappeared. But you guys are watching, it's okay. Okay. And what else do we have? So the plants growing with us. Well, and yeah, even with the plant growing with us, and now it's in high THC, it's like we see these epidemics of opiates and all these other drugs. It's like people are trying to escape, and so nature is giving us natural ways to find these escapes in a mindful way so that we can feel good and but also continue to be mindful about it, so we're not just, you know, popping a bunch of pills or drinking lots of alcohol, doing other activities that are harmful to us or the environment. And as we continue to change and we see like a move to organic growing and living soil and just natural, sustainable living, I think we'll continue to see the cannabis plant evolve with us. So the amounts of various cannabinoids will probably change as they have done for thousands of years now. And yeah, and I think that man-made manipulation is going to probably play a big factor in that for us, because a lot of stuff is not wildly grown now as it was 1,000 years ago. So it'll be interesting to see how the plant's medicine continues to evolve to help us in various ways, whether it's to reduce inflammation or anxiety or depression or any other things. I'm excited to see how it will continue to evolve.
So that actually is really enlightening, and I love this is where like community can be surrounded in that, which is just hearing different perspectives, because you know I never want to find, especially on the path of yoga, which honestly is a new kind of awakening for me since like as of motherhood, because I always was like, I don't want to be labeled as necessarily like, you know, I eat the plant-based diet and because I'm a yogi, I'm a yogi. You know, it's like I never wanted to be called a yogi. And then the same goes for being a pothead. You know, it's like I never wanted to be considered a pothead because I thought of it differently. And so I've always wanted to kind of maintain a sense of
well, yeah, they make these derogatory names.
Right. Well, I was going to say anonymity. a yogi and being a pothead, and how do you do both at the same time? Well, it's like, well, I have this medicine, and I want this medicine to grow with me, but I'm willing to always show up to it and be like, have I outgrown you? But for coming back and saying like that this plant is also evolving, it's just like, I'm like, in the ways in which it will continue to support us, our nervous system, and all of the different things that we're having to go through right now with 5G and all this different stuff. It's like, folks, you have to do that. And you could go the pharmaceutical way, or you can go the way of, using yoga technology and plant medicine. And so that's just really cool, because I kind of, instead of me outgrowing it just this concept of like, it's evolving even in its industry, just as I'm evolving. This is what we're all doing together. 5G, here we go. We're stepping up, and if you're not doing any kind of like pranayama,
that's breath work for anybody that's watching.
Feel breath work. How would your nervous system must be rash right now, and you probably smoke weed in a minute. So I just find I'm just really fascinated by that. I'm also really excited to see how it evolves.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that people that maybe are not doing any type of breathing exercises or stretching in any way, smoking pot's definitely breathing exercise. And so you're doing it. You got step 1 down, and I found just through teaching Ganja yoga that the majority of people that come to class have never done yoga, would never do yoga. I don't know if they'd step foot into like a real yoga studio ever, just because of like the stigmatism that yoga studios have gotten for pushing people into handstands and just doing overly excessive things. So it's been kind of nice to see, this plant is able to bring in all these people that wouldn't necessarily want to touch their toes or stretch in any way, but they are, because they get to get high first. And so I think that connection to nature by smoking starts to get people being like, oh, I'm also nature, and like we're connected to this plant. And so like things start turning, but I think it takes some time for some people to really jump over to like wanting to stretch and do things, especially from what I've noticed, is for men especially. They have a hard time being like, yeah, I'll go do yoga. Like it's very seen as a very feminine, girly, cheerleading type thing, and it doesn't have to be, but that's just like what Instagram and other media places have turned it into, which is sad, but we're here to make sure it's not that.
That's really funny, because this is just kind of like how the industry has played out. And I actually recently wrote this on one of those threads where there was this yoga page. It was just about these girls in these leotard type things, and in a yoga posture, and it said like, what's your favorite yoga pose, or something. And I was like, enough's enough. And I just kind of like went off on like, this is not yoga, and this by no means is supporting the yoga community. I think in a lot of ways we need to recognize that there's like a sense of cultural appropriation when it comes to yoga, and that it's not just about like girls that are looking good and yoga clothes and posing and postures, which is one very small aspect of what yoga is. So I'm like, okay. And I'm like, with all due respect, like, are you helping the yoga community? Are you helping those that are actually of this lineage keep this alive in the way that it should be alive? Or what are you doing? What is the intention behind this photo? what are you doing? You know, it's just like, because that's Instagram. And it's like, this isn't real. And this is part of where this cultural appropriation of yoga is not, we need to respect its lineage and what it is, you know? So,
yeah, I think so. And I mean, and I just think posting simple poses, you know, like showing somebody, oh, I might burn myself on this candle, that, you know, like, I can't see me almost, but standing here and just bending over, like, this is yoga, you know? And a lot of people are like, and like, you can do it in a chair. You can sit in a chair and just touch your toes. Touch your toes 5 times, you know, go reach for them 5 times every day, and you did yoga. You're officially a yogi. You know, and it's like, but people are like, oh no, I have to do all of these crazy, ridiculous things, or I'm going to be in a room with 7 women that are trying to stand on their heads, so I'm not going, or they're going to move too fast to get a workout in. So yeah, I think by bringing both weed and yoga together, it's been helpful for people to be like, well, if I'm getting high, there's no way she's going to make me do 50 jumping jacks, you know? And so, yeah, it's been a nice like bridge to get that gap kind of covered. And then I think we get to have yoga soon too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like it's a good way to show other forms of yoga, that it's not just power yoga or, you know, any kind of yoga. Like yoga could be literally anything. It could be just laughter. It could be
yeah, you know, that's really funny because
so
one day I was really mad and like, oh, I just wanted to put a fucking hole in the wall, you know? And so I was like, all right, let me see like if these crazy yogis got an answer. So I get on YouTube and I found some girl, she's had some yoga for anger. This girl had me lay on my belly and just start laughing for 20 minutes straight. And I was like, I was mad at first. I was like, this is not yoga. But then the more I laughed, I just was like, well, it's working. So I guess it is. And yeah, it's a like, oh, it's just hilarious. Oh, alrighty. So I think that wraps up our cannabis and addiction talk. We kind of got off topic at the end, going into more yoga and cannabis.
well, I think
And then I think we'll meet back here in 15, 20 minutes for yoga. Plant ceremony for 30 minutes. Bring your joints, your pipes, your dabs. And then 90 minutes of yoga. Or we can make yoga shorter if 90 minutes on IG is kind of long.
okay. Yeah, we can. So we'll hop off and then hop back on.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Good deal.
We shall see you in a little bit.
Alrighty, well, we will see you soon.
But wait, you stay here.
Alrighty, well, we shall see you in a little bit. See you soon.
Okay, so I'm unmuted.
Okay. I'll click off Facebook. And then I have Facebook all typed in. I just have to hit go live.
Okay.
Oh man, did it fucking... Man. I guess I waited too long. It timed out. Bullshit. Ah. Come on.
So do you have to start over?
Yeah, it made me start over.
Okay.
All right, but I'm back.
It's easy to put us together.
Yeah. Well, it's just We have a friend that does a lot of podcasts and does like multiple things. So I'm messaging him after I'm done with this and finding out he uses some kind of service he pays for. And then you
Okay.
can do, like all of them. You could do like 3 Facebook pages, you know, a YouTube channel and everything. So it'd be like way better.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Go
I'm
live.
on Instagram.
You're live on Instagram?
And then I have to mute myself on here.
On your laptop, yeah. You are. Oh, you are. You're sideways.
And then I have to mute myself on here.
Oh,
Nice. I've never seen it go side, like 2 people do it sideways.
yeah. We'll have to. I think it should be. Yeah, we'll get enough of
Yeah,
the
I like it.
space.
Yeah.
All right.
Into this. I'll get my psychedelic pillow.
All right.
Wow.
So,
Ah.
yay. Hello. Hi. Oh, I need to move up. No, I'm not going to get any taller. All righty. So we are back on live, hanging out. And this time, if you're joining us, I invite you to go grab a joint or a bowl or dab break, bong, pen, edible, whatever your desire is. For the next 30 minutes, we're going to have a nice little plant medicine ceremony, and then we are going to move into some yoga. And yeah, so if you just want to join for the first half and hang out and smoke, that's cool. If you want to come and stretch a little bit, I promise I'll be gentle. Oh, alrighty. And then we have Chanel in the other video hanging out, doing some yoga with us too. And so to start, before you start smoking or ingesting your cannabis, I invite you to close your eyes and take a minute to settle in to wherever you're at right now. Notice the parts of your body that are touching the ground, those that are not. Begin to notice your breath flowing in through the nose and out through the nose. And as you sit here, I invite you to imagine the bright sun and soil, grass, a beautiful field of flowers. Mother Nature at its finest, most beautiful time, whatever that looks like in your mind's eye today. And find gratitude for whatever that vision of beautiful Mama Gaia, Pachamama is in your mind. Give it thanks for all that it's done for you. You can bring your hands to heart center, allowing the base of your thumb to press into your sternum. Gently open the eyes, bowing the head towards the hands. You can take a moment here to continue thanking the planet for allowing you to breathe and enjoy this beautiful plant. We'll inhale the hands to the third eye, recognizing the divine intuition that ourselves have. The plant allows us to see more clearly, more easily, without all the fog. And on an exhale, you can set your hands down by your side or on your lap, wherever is comfortable for you. We'll gently, your eyes are probably already open. I closed mine again. Sorry, guys. Oh. And then you can find your smoking device or edible or whatever you are enjoying today. I happen to have 2 joints rolled by AJ, one grown in the Build a Soil tent in Montrose, and one grown by a friend, Jaw Gardens. And so we'll take our cannabis and hold it in our hands and just begin to connect with the flowers that are in your drink or your joint, whatever you're using to connect. Begin to feel her medicine in your palms. Connecting with her energy. And then begin to give thanks for all that she provides you with, a steady mind, deeper breathing, an escape from a stressful day. Give thanks. And then when you're ready, and you feel connected, I invite you to light up or drink, enjoy your cannabis. And so we'll spend some time here, more in silence, smoking together, enjoying each other's company and energy from afar. As you're ingesting, visualize her healing benefits going throughout your body. So if you're smoking, you can envision the smoke entering the lungs, going from the base of the belly up to the collarbones. And then as you exhale, continue imagining all the nutrients from the cannabis expanding outwards from the lungs, down the arms, and the torso, and the legs. Making this a really mindful experience of why you're smoking, how you're smoking, how you're feeling the plant internally. Coughing if you need to. Totally cool. Happens.
It's all good.
I know. Sometimes the joint just gets too hot. So while we continue.
This is our time.
Huh?
As I say, is this our time for chatting?
Yeah, so we can chat, and then I was going to explain a little bit of like what's out in front in this altar space, but one of these isn't seeing it.
So let's chat about that.
Okay. So a lot of times when you smoke and you're connecting with the plant in this way, later during the meditations, we'll ask the plant for more guidance. But you'll have these altars set up, and I mean, you don't even need to smoke weed to have the altar set up. This is something, just a small corner of your house or area that you have that's sacred that you can go to and find reprieve and solace. And so here I have one that's specifically set up to honor the cannabis plant. And so on the two sides, we have, I hope you can't see this one. We have two books that I just like to share. They're good books. One's Ganja Yoga by D. DeSalt, and the other is Cannabis and Spirituality. And each chapter is by a different person in the second book. And both offer insight on how to use cannabis alongside yoga, and also cannabis in group ceremonies or in spiritual practice, religiously. And so if you're looking to deepen your connection with cannabis, I highly recommend either one of those books. And then the rest of the altar, I have crystals over here that have been gifted, a picture of Lord Shiva, who is, sorry, gotta get readjusted. So he is the creator and the destroyer, but he's also the Lord of Cannabis. He was often found under trees drinking bang lassi, which is a ganja milkshake. I believe Chanel is enjoying that today. And then I have a candle just to remember that we are all light, and the plants bring us that light through the sun. And then I have oracle cards in the front, and that's just to help if you are going to set an intention prior to smoking or prior to practicing yoga or meditating. You could pull a card and use that to kind of get things bubbling up and stirring. Usually the card has a way of hitting you just right. So
I'm ready for a card.
you're ready for a card. Okay. We can do that.
Yeah, well, you do your cards, or do what you do, but.
No, that's like the altar space. I have an ashtray and more joints. And you can set this up super simply. Oh, and I have CBD. So in case you get too high, you can always counteract it with a little bit of CBD. This is from our friends, Let It Grow Hemp. But you can set this up in a super simple way. It could just be a candle and your weed. It could just be your cannabis. And we have a spot in the living room. It's primarily just cannabis without anything else, but the entire room has it circled around. So, we've kind of just spread it out a little bit. And so it's up to you, as long as it feels like it's a sacred place to be, and you can come and connect with the plant and let your worries go to the altar, to Lord Shiva, to the light, to the crystals, whatever it may be, to Jah. Yeah.
Love it. So beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love those cards you have there. I just feel like every time you set up this little altar space, it just like really feels so good. And I'm definitely one of those people that when I like to sit down to do something, I make a similar altar space. In fact, we're in my altar space, so I mean I don't need to turn the computer around, but I'll bring some items that I like to include.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm wanting to have a moment to just, be in my space and maybe do some yoga, some meditation, I'll have my cards. I actually have a new tarot deck that I've been playing with. I haven't used it in a while. haven't used actually any tarot in a while. I think maybe that's why I'm intrigued by cards. And then I'll always have a journal and definitely my vape, maybe some crystals around, and then I'll sit down either in the sun or in a really charged area or a place that I'm wanting to be charged, and do my thing. A little yoga, a little bit of ganja, a little bit of cards, and then some journaling. And yeah, I find that it's like your recharge zone, it's like you're creating a battery station, and you just
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess maybe I'm having a moment of like, oh yeah, I do this and I haven't done it in a really long time.
Yeah, so creating this space is part of sitting in ceremony with the plant, because we can take a dab in the morning for pain or this or that and run out the door, and that's fine. But when you come and you really settle down and take the time to set up and realize, like, this has been going on for thousands of years, and this plant has something to tell us and to teach us, she does. Like, when we sit here and we are silent and breathe and are elevated by her medicine, and then ask her very specific questions, we're going to get answers that we may or may not like, but she's going to give them to you. And so I feel like creating the sacred space really helps
Receive.
Yeah, and helps her know that, like, you cherish her presence, and you want her guidance, you want her to enter your space and speak to you.
Right. Exactly. And that's just as the plant is really receptive, we too become that receptive, and that's all about how the plant kind of interacts with you, your brainwaves, and just your body and your chemistry. It's all about receptors and reception, being receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like that because it's funny because I'm seeing it almost like on the other side where it's like, oh yeah, I used to do that, really is what I'm about to say, because it's like after being a mom, I haven't really made my sacred space to do my cards and my journaling, and I always have like my daily practice, but this is a little different, and this is definitely something I used to show up to, and just like I'm saying, seeing it on the other side, I'm like, oh right, this is like a time for feeling your gratitude, and it's really healing, just being in it. And yeah, and that's what it is. It's like receiving, opening yourself up to receive the message. And I'm like, wow, I'm receiving a lot right now.
Yeah.
It's like message received, sign received. I'm like, I need to start to bring my practice back to life with this. Because yeah, it really is kind of like on the go vitamin type thing. Like, take it, gotta go. See you later, got a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have to set out something crazy. You can, have maybe a small little thing that sits on your coffee table next to your rig, and you very quickly, before you dab, you're like, thank you so much for all that you have given me. I appreciate you. Please continue to bestow your bounties on me, and take your dab. It could be shorter. I got a little wordy, but
true, but it needs to happen.
I'm getting higher, so I'm going to talk more.
Because that's something I think I could have really used this morning, and instead I feel like I've had teacher after teacher kind of like show up today in many different ways, and just kind of being in light of this right now, I'm receiving a lot. It's like I'm seeing what I need to be seeing, and I not much more I can say to that, but it's just great because here I was kind of like for a hot second here, just kind of like, what am I doing? Where am I going? Can't really find myself. Okay, just collect and like, let's go live. And yeah, all of a sudden now I'm here. It's like I'm so immersed in this present moment in my body, and that to me feels, and that helps with the plant. Like the plant medicine helps you get in your body. so much, you know, where you can just feel and just be, and it's just such a
It relaxes all of your circulatory system, so more blood can enter, and you can actually end up breathing deeper when you're high. And I find when you're elevated and you do breathing exercises of any kind, even if it's just slow, mindful breathing, it turns into an amazing internal experience for you.
totally. Totally. Ooh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
And you know, I think, I don't know, it's just funny. I wanted, yeah, this is just really great. I feel like this is something we all could really use right now. You know, I
Yeah,
can't speak for
I
everyone.
think that connecting, I wish that we could do this more often in person with larger groups of people than what's allowed right now. But for being able to hold this virtual space of safely consuming cannabis in a mindful way, I can still feel the energy radiating off of these devices in front of me somehow. Like I'm kind of blown away right now by it. And it just brings this like connection of people that are like, oh, you know, I didn't know you.
It's like heart space, sharing heart
Everyone,
space.
yeah, you share heart space, and like when you share a joint with somebody or a bowl or any, even just go around with dabs, it's like you have such a connecting experience with the people next to you. Like you're all vibing on that same wavelength of like chill and relax. Like it's all good. Just smoke some, like you're good. You know, like.
Gosh, I think
And
that
if we
was
could
part of
just
my
get
first
more
streak.
people to realize that, like, and then come together and feel safe, it's the world would change in an instant.
Yeah, wow. Definitely. Well, I believe that as we come, I don't know. I mean, I do believe this, but this summer I do see us being able to kind of.
Oh, it'll happen. I mean, the
Expand.
renegades are gonna make it happen, you know?
Yeah, we're here.
Like,
We're here. We're ready. It's good. It's gonna be great.
yeah. Okay. And then, yeah, for anybody just joining, there's about 5 minutes left of hanging out and smoking and connecting with the plant. You can continue to smoke, but we'll move into yoga postures and breathing. So if you have some blankets, that would be probably super cool. So you can have any kind of blankets, and then you'll just fold them up so that you can be able to use them as support at some point in time. It makes the yoga much more comfortable and enjoyable for relaxation instead of a workout. And then I think that should be it for any extra things that you would need.
Okay, so I really, really want Adam to be a part of this, and I want to see
Go grab him.
if he'll come down and maybe do, because I'm just like, I'm having such an uplifting moment right now, and I know it would be so wonderful for him too, and he may not budge, but you know, if we switch places here and he got to act a little bit and enjoy a little bit of the packs and this drink, is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna check these messages on IG then, and people can grab yoga mats, and you don't even really need a yoga mat. You could just lay on the carpet, and then or the floor. If you have hardwoods, I would maybe lay down a blanket. we're not going to be standing up at all in the yoga practice, so you'll be completely seated. Sorry. You'll be completely seated, or you'll be laying down this way, or laying down on your belly, or on your hands and knees. And those are going to be, that's it. You're not going to stand up at all or get too far away from the floor. And if at any time you are feeling overwhelmed or anything at all that is not comfortable, I suggest just coming to laying on your back and beginning to count the length of your inhale to the count of 4, and count the length of your exhale to the count of 4. And this will help calm the mind back down, and you can rejoin the yoga class once you have settled back down. All right, let me move some stuff out of my way so I don't burn myself. And yeah, keep smoking. You can smoke through the entire class, and you can not smoke through the class, whichever one is more preferable to you. I probably will smoke more. Oh wait, I want these cards. We'll use the cards. We'll pick a collective intention, since we can't really have everyone say when to stop. They stick really bad, so there's that. But okay, so to start, we will pick the collective intention. So I don't know, Chanel, you want to tell me when to stop?
Stop. Perfect. Yeah. Yes.
Took 2 of them. Do you want the top or the bottom? Or do I do both of them?
Let's do both, but focus on one. You can decide.
I'll just focus on the
Just,
first one we
yeah,
see.
we can just know like what the other one is.
Yeah. All right. So the top one is the gorilla. You can see him. There's that.
Oh, okay.
And then he reads, "Take the time to listen compassionately to those you love, especially your family members." Thanks. And then the second one is an octopus. And he reads, "Practice shape-shifting by altering your physical appearance and mannerisms." So I kind of see the shape-shifting more as using cannabis, I feel like. And I feel like the cannabis plant makes you all family, so we're just compassionate about all these people.
Right.
Oh.
I'm really listening to each other compassionately.
Yeah, listening to understand and really connect with the other person that's there. Oh, alrighty. So we will begin the yoga meditation class. We're going to move a little slower today. We'll have some faster paced movement, but not, it's still slow. Like think like snail versus turtle. Like that's the kind of speed difference I'm referring to. And yeah, so if you want to come to a comfortable seated position, if a comfortable seated position is not comfortable, you can come to laying on your back, whichever is best suited for your body. Gently close your eyes. Begin to tune in to your internal environment. Simply noting where the body's at today as you breathe. And following from our ceremony, I have a little excerpt that connects us more to the plant. It says, plants bring us the love, the nourishing power of the sun, which is the same energy of all the stars, of all the light. These cosmic energies emanated by plants nourish, sustain, and make grow our own astral body. In this way, the existence of plants is a great offering, a sacrifice. They offer us not only their own nutritive value, but the very light and love from the stars, from the cosmos, whose messengers they are. They bring us the universal light so that we can enter the universal life. So as you sit here with your eyes closed, connecting with the feelings the cannabis plants bringing upon your mental and physical states, I invite you to look more inwardly at the plants bringing us universal light so that we can enter the universal life. They're here to nourish us and our bodies, to support us in all the ways we need supporting and love. And with the love and support these plants give to us, especially the cannabis plant, we're more able to go out into the world from a space of love instead of somewhere else. Continue to watch the breath as you feel this feeling of love for the plant, for life, cultivate within you. And as you continue to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, I invite you to imagine the body filling up with light, starting at the base and slowly filling up with liquid gold, beautiful dabs hot off the press, filling the entire body slowly, working up the legs, the knees, the thighs, the entire lower half shining gold and sparkly. Each inhale fills you up a little bit more. Working your way all the way up the torso, the collarbones, and the shoulders. Allowing it to drip slowly like honey down the arms. Creating this warm blanket feeling surrounding the body. This warm healing blanket. Each new breath draws the life force in. Each inhale of the plant allows the medicine to go deeper. Once the arms are filled all the way down to the wrists and the fingertips, you'll allow this liquid gold to continue rising up through the neck, the head, the face, filling the entire skull. Now you're totally filled with this beautiful, radiant light. Tune into your breath. Watching the cool air flow in through the nose. And the warm air flow out through the nose. Your next breath, you can exhale all of your air. We'll sync up our breaths and begin to breathe a little deeper. So we'll exhale all the air. You'll inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue counting in your own head up to 5 or further. If your lungs feel the capacity to expand even more, you may go up to 8 or 10 on the inhale and exhale. This is your practice and your body, so do what feels right and meet your body exactly where it is today, in this moment in time. And as you inhale, try to draw the inhale to fill the lower belly up to the collarbones. And then the exhale to empty from the collarbones down to the navel. Allow your shoulders to relax. We're just tuning in to the breath and that rhythm that we forget, that slow, steady rhythm of ease and comfort that we can find, but life often wraps us up and we forget about it. So tuning in to that warm feeling of all of that luscious gold creaminess filling your body. Let it be all that there is right now. Cannabis expanding through every tissue and every cell. For the practice, you can keep your eyes closed and your gaze inward. If you do, I invite you to find a focal point with your eyes closed. You can keep your focus on your nose, or you can look up and in towards your pineal gland. The option is yours. I think it deepens the practice and allows you to connect more with your body and what's going on in your mind. Or you can open your eyes to see what's going on. Whatever works for you. So on an inhale, you'll inhale your arms wide and high, stretching your fingertips towards the ceiling. And exhale to plant the right hand down by your right hip, walking it outwards as you stretch the left arm up and over for a side body stretch. As you inhale, feel the muscles in between your ribs begin to expand. Notice how the exhale changes the sensation. On an inhale, you'll lift your hands back up to center. Then you'll exhale over to the other side, planting the left hand down, extending the right arm up and over. Notice the difference between the left and right side, how the muscles may be tighter or more able to stretch. And on an inhale, lift yourself back up to center. We'll exhale to plant the hands in front of us, walking forward, folding over the calves. Follow the breath in through the nose and out, continuing to connect inward. If you'd like to stop and smoke at any time, please do so. On an inhale, slowly walk yourself back up to all the way seated. And from here, you'll drop your right ear towards your right shoulder, beginning to do a neck stretch, and then slowly rolling the head so the neck is in towards the chest, and then coming over to the left shoulder with the left ear, and gently going backwards. If there's any strain, then you should not be doing this. You go in one direction, moving nice and slow, remembering all of that gold light filling you up. It's thick and creamy. Then you'll switch directions, rotating your head in the opposite direction. Bringing movement to the neck, our lifeline to the rest of our body. Such an important part that often is neglected and yet so tense. You can find stillness when it feels even to you. You can keep going if you feel it necessary. We'll meet back in center when you're ready. Slowly, you'll switch the cross of your legs, so your opposite calf will be in front or your opposite shin. Readjust any way that you may need to. Sitting up nice and tall. You'll inhale your hands wide and high overhead. Exhale to plant the left hand down by the left hip, walking it out for your side body stretch, opening up the right side. You can inhale back to center. And on your exhale, plant the right hand down, stretching over towards the right with the left arm. Observing the subtle differences from each side. Inhale back to center. Exhale to plant the hands in front of you. Then walk forward any amount, keeping the sit bones rooted in your mat or on the floor. Then you'll fold, allowing the head to become heavy. Watching the inhale and the exhale, noticing if your bright, warm, luscious light inside has dimmed at all, and using the inhale to fill back any empty spaces that need more attention, more light sent to them. And then inhale, you can slowly walk yourself back up all the way to a seated position. And you'll bring your shoulders all the way up by your ears. And allow them to roll backwards, beginning to roll the shoulders in a circular motion or any movement that feels right. You might make chicken arms as you do it, or keep your hands on your knees, whatever your body is calling for in this moment. And you can switch directions, rolling the shoulders forward, bringing fluid to the shoulder joint, which helps lubricate it before we start moving any further. Also opening up the chest here as you bring the shoulders back and forward. For those of us that drive and sit on couches, this is great. And then you can slowly find stillness and bring your hands down to your knees. Take a deep breath in, allowing it to travel all the way down to the base. And a deep breath out, up from the base to the collarbone. We'll slowly bring our soles of our feet to touch. So you'll come into a butterfly position or Baddha Konasana, bound ankle pose. So you'll want to make sure that your pelvis is tilting forward here so that you're not rounding too much. You can see that. So you can grab onto your feet, and with your thumbs, you can press onto the center part of your sole, like right dead center of your foot with your thumbs. Inhale to find length in the spine, and exhale to fold. You can allow the head to become heavy and the spine to round here. If you have pillows or anything nearby, you can use them for your head to rest on, or you can rest them right in your feet. We're going to be here for a few moments, so begin to connect back with the breath. And as you do that, and your thumbs are pressing into the center part of your foot, begin to imagine a circuit of energy radiating from your feet up your legs to your hips and your torso, down your arms, back to your thumbs. creating this beautiful circle of energy. So you've now taken all of that warm light inside of you and allowed it to expand, to create this circuit, this beautiful aura around you. And the center of your foot is important. It's a main meridian point or nadi point in both Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine. So by pressing on it, we're able to activate these points. In Chinese medicine, it's the kidney organ. In Ayurvedic medicine, this is seen as similar to top of the head, so it's not one organ. So by doing this, we can cleanse the channel and create more energy available to us. And the cannabis has opened up more pathways in our circulation to allow us to go deeper and allow the healing to seep into parts that may not be reached as often as we may like. Watch the breath flow in and out, finding stillness in the pose as best you can. Continue to see the breath flowing in and out as we continue to hold this bound angle pose, working into the joints of the hips. And as you're here, I invite you to ask yourself if there's any fears you are ready to face. Now you have the support of the feminine energy of Mary Jane coursing through your veins, there to hold you in any fearfulness you may have. So take these moments and these breaths to see what fears may arise or bubble up. And then ask the plant, ask cannabis, Mary Jane, how she can help you begin to face these fears and overcome them. Take 5 more breaths here. And on your last inhale, you can begin to walk yourself up all the way. Don't move your legs. Just walk up to your seated, nice tall position. Then you're going to take your hands to the outsides of your knees, and nice and slow, as if you're trapped in your golden bottle of honey, you'll press your knees together, bringing the soles of the feet flat. Take a moment to hug the knees, giving yourself a little squeeze here. And then nice and slow, we're going to come to a child's pose. So you can choose to take your knees out wide or leave them. You can leave your knees together like this, or you can take your knees out wide. Your big toes will be touching behind you. And then you come down, sitting towards your heels. If they don't reach, you can use blankets in between here. And then you can reach better. And then walk yourself forward. Allow the forehead to rest, or you can use your forearms as a pillow. If you have sensitive knees, you might unfold the blanket and have it out like this. Get nice and comfy. This is your practice. You're allowed to be comfortable as you stretch. So do what you need to do. And then we'll meet in child's pose. And let the arms relax and the head be heavy. Really focusing on sinking the hips back towards the heels. And as you begin to find the pose, you can close your eyes and begin to reconnect with the breath. Watching the inhale, fill up any spots that might have sucked up the healing energy that you filled your body with. It got used, and now you inhale and send more light to wherever is lacking, knowing that it's perfectly okay. The plant and the breath are here to help guide us into our healing journey. And as the body becomes filled again with the light, focusing again on any fears you may be ready to face, and asking Mary Jane, your beautiful plant ally, feminine energy, how she can hold and support and guide you to overcome these fears and meet them with grace. Knowing it's okay if the mind wanders off, bringing it back, connecting with the plant and the breath. You can slowly begin to walk your hands backwards slightly. You'll keep your hips where they are. And actually your hips will come up a little bit. And then you'll stick your right arm in between your left knee and your left arm, coming in to thread the needle. And then you'll lay down on your right shoulder, starting to twist open towards the left. I think that's like, so slide in, down. I can't see this. Starting to open up the back of the shoulders, twisting through the mid back. Often doesn't always get action. And slowly walk your left hand back towards your face when you're ready, and then press into your left hand, coming out of the pose. You'll plant your right hand down, begin to move to the other side. You'll bring your left arm in between your right knee and right wrist, planting the left shoulder down, twisting over to the right, coming in to thread the needle on the other side. Allowing the breath to travel to any sensations you may be feeling. You can slowly walk your right hand back towards your face. Press your right hand into the mat. Bring your left arm back to meet your right. Good. And so we'll be in a tabletop position. So your wrists will be under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. You'll hug your navel in so that you're not dropping or trying to dump in your lower spine. There we go. Here's the words. We're going to move into some organic movements. So you'll inhale to draw the chest forward and arch the mid back, coming into cow. Then you can exhale to round. Then you can use your own breath and close your eyes. Begin to move the spine, flexing and extending it in any way that feels right to you. So maybe you stick with this. Maybe you go into some barrel rolls where you're moving the entire torso in a giant circle. Maybe your cat-cows have you stretching back and forward. With the eyes closed, you can begin to explore the body and which sensations feel right for you in this moment. As you take big breaths in and big breaths out. Moving with your own breath. If your wrists begin to hurt, you can come up onto your fists. Or you can stretch back to child's pose. And slowly you'll begin to find stillness in your tabletop. We'll come back to sitting on our heels for a moment. And then you can take the tops of your palms and place them on the mat in front of you, any amount. And then begin to sit back on your heels. So you'll come up and place your hands down and then begin to sit back to stretch the front of the wrists. You can be as close to your knees or as far away as you want. And then gently release. Roll the wrists out. Finding any movement that feels good after being on them for a moment. Then we'll come forward slightly and you're going to tuck all of your toes. And so as you tuck all of your toes, even your pinky toe, you might have to use your hands to do it. And then you'll sit back on your heels, and you can also use one of those blankets so it's more comfy. And so your toes will be tucked and will be like this. It's probably not, yeah. And if it's not that comfortable, you can come up a little bit, lifting your butt from your heels so there's not as much pressure. But we're going to be here for a moment. I have to turn around so you can hear me. And so we can inhale our hands up wide and high here, lifting them towards the ceiling. And exhale the hands down by your side. Inhale the hands up. And on exhale, you can cactus the arms coming into goalposts. Maybe you arch the upper back. And you can inhale the hands up. Exhale to cactus. About 10 more seconds. Inhale up. Exhale to cactus. And then you can come forward, releasing the toes. And then you can choose to patter out the feet here, or you may find it nice to sit back and push up, pressing the toes oppositely into the mat. Oh, you can't see me. Just finding that opposite stretch as they were in a deep stretch the opposite way. And so our feet are trapped in, I have become a foot freak, and our feet are trapped in shoes all day, and they don't get stretched, and our toes don't work as good as they used to from just a couple hundred years ago. And so I love this toe stretch, and if there's something that you think you need, toe stretching is it. You can place your hands down on the mat and come back into a tabletop position. And from here, we're going to do a style of push-up, but you're not going to move your hips or your core. You're only going to move your upper back. So you allow your upper chest to drop as you still engage the core. I call these rhomboid push-ups. I think other people have different names for them. And so it's a very small movement, and it works the deep muscles underneath your trapezius that help to keep the shoulder blades on the back instead of rounding forward from driving and typing and texting and Instagramming all day. So this helps strengthen those muscles so we don't cave in on ourselves too much. Continuing to move with your own breath here. Exhaling down and inhaling up. And you'll start to feel a slight burn happening in the mid-back as you continue. As that begins to appear, I invite you to find child's pose again, bringing your big toes to touch. You can take your knees out as wide as the mat or as close together as you would like, walking yourself forward. Reconnect with your breath here. Watching the inhale fill you up and the exhale soften. And then nice and slow, you can crawl yourself to your belly. So from child's pose, you'll just crawl forward, down. Instagram's gonna lose some of my feet. Yeah. And then you can lay down and place your head down. Your forehead can be straight down, or you can have your neck turned to one side, whichever feels best. If you have your neck turned to one side, don't worry, I will let you know when to change it to the other side. And as you lay here, closing the eyes, allow the muscles of the legs and the glutes to relax as the abdomen softens and melts into the floor beneath you. Allow the muscles of your face to relax, unclenching the jaw as you release the tongue from the roof of your mouth. If your neck is to one side, go ahead and switch it to the other side. If it's in the middle, go ahead and keep it there. Continuing to keep the body soft and supple, ready to receive the bounties of the plant. Open to hear the messages that she has to bring to you. She's here to guide us, to help us overcome our fears. You can slowly bring your head to center. And if you're smoking, you can grab whatever it is you've been enjoying, staying on your belly. I'm going to smoke a joint. Not sure which one it is, either from Build a Soil or Jaw Gardens. Thank you. And so while you're smoking, or not, even if you're not, you can take this pose. You'll be on your belly, and then you're going to come up into a Sphinx pose. So your elbows will be just a little bit further ahead of your shoulders. And then your hands will be pressed into the mat. You can allow the muscles of the legs to be soft. You can relax and allow the lower back to be compressed here. We'll be holding for a few moments. It's a convenient pose to smoke in. Purposely put somewhere near the middle. And so as you're here in this back bend, focus on those fears that are bubbling up that Mary Jane can support you with. Maybe narrowing down on one single one. Once you're narrowed down on a single fear that you would like to help you with, I invite you to send it down to your kidneys. Your kidneys are located on both sides, just below where your last rib is, or just where your last rib is, on the back side of your body, where we're compressing at the moment. Send that fear down there. It's a place that holds fear. When there's an imbalance in the kidneys, there's fear in the body. And with that fear sent down to the kidneys, On each inhale, begin to send all of that warm, luscious, gold, creamy, healing light we created that's filling the body and extending outwards. Begin to funnel it all into the kidneys, allowing the kidneys to fill so much that they're oozing out creamy, delicious, gold, healing light. Sending it all there to help conquer this fear, whatever it may be. Using the inhale of the plant as added guidance as you wait for these plant spirits to connect and tell you how you may work with this fear and overcome it. 10 more breaths here. The heart open to receive. Send all the healing light to the kidneys. Allowing it to encompass the sphere and support it and nurture it. And on your last breath, you can exhale, bring your arms down, bringing your forearms as a pillow. You can continue smoking if you would like, or you may put it aside. Allow the body to soften and relax here. Melting into the floor. As you envision both kidneys continuing to be filled and overfilling with healing, loving light there to help you and support you in all that life brings to you. You can slowly begin to walk yourself up, and we'll come press ourselves through, making our way nice and slowly to sitting on our bottoms. Yep, that's where we're headed. And you're going to take both legs out wide for a wide straddle. And you may find for some people that's sitting on a blanket or a little bit of padding helps so that the pelvis can really tilt forward instead of us. So we're looking to avoid sitting like this when we're here. We want to sit up this way, and sometimes a blanket helps. So great. Do you like virtual sometimes? Can't explain. All right, so nice wide legs, great. And your choice to keep the toes flexed towards you or to allow them to be more soft and pointed outwards. We're going to inhale the hands up overhead, stretching towards the ceiling. And then we'll move with our breath at first. So we'll exhale over to the right. And then you'll inhale back up to center and exhale to stretch over towards the left. And moving at the pace of your own breath, inhaling to center, exhaling to one side, starting to open up the groins and side body. You can close the eyes again, going inward, connecting back to the breath, the inward environment. And this can be your last time going to both sides. And we'll meet back in the center. And then when you exhale, you'll plant the hands in front of you. Walk yourself forward, coming forward any amount. Allow the head to become heavy. If this is tight or pulling on your lower back, you may find that bending your knees and simply leaning slightly forward gets you a nice stretch through the groins without necessarily having to go so deep. Watching the breath flow down, sending that light to the kidneys, to the fear that lies within us. It's inherent nature for us to have fears. It's nothing that's wrong with us. It's something we get to work on every day and learn and become better people. So allow each inhale to fill the kidneys up. As we sit here and open up, continuing to connect with the plant, seeing how she can help, how she can offer assistance and guidance. With the fear that lies in the heart. When we quiet the mind, we're more able to hear her guidance, her suggestions, what she would like us to do with her blessings. Take 5 more long, deep breaths here. Allowing each to make the kidney ooze over warm, luscious, healing light a little bit more. Allowing it to seep back into the rest of the body, slowly and gently, from the kidneys outward. Sending that support, that guidance out, knowing that you can do whatever you set your mind to. You can overcome any obstacle there may be. Your last breath, begin to walk yourself up all the way, nice and slow. And we will bring the left hand You'll bring the left hand under the left knee if you're on Facebook, and you'll bring the left foot in towards the right. Coming into a half wide leg. Coming into half wide leg here. So you'll inhale the hands up. And then exhale to fold forward directly over your left foot. Going into half dragonfly or half wide leg fold. Continuing to watch the breath flow in and out through the nose. Continuing to hold that shape and breathing. We'll continue to hold the shape. We've moved in to half wide leg, folding over. Continuing to follow the breath in and out. Reconnecting with that warm light and allowing it to ooze out the kidneys and nourish the rest of the body. Supporting it in all that it is and all that it does. On an inhale, you walk yourself forward, sitting up, nice and tall. And we'll go to the other side, bringing the right leg in so the right knee bends and the right foot comes in towards the calf and the left leg goes out. And we'll inhale the hands up. And you'll exhale to fold over, allowing the head to become heavy, reconnecting with the breath. Staying in that position. So we'll stay folded, tuning inwards, keeping that beautiful creamy gold color oozing throughout all the vessels and cells of the body, knowing that you're fully supported by the mother cannabis plant and also by the earth that grows this beautiful plant for us, supported in all that she provides, supported in all that you wish to accomplish, so long as you tune in to their messages. So if you haven't already, ask your plant ally, Cannabis, how she can support you in overcoming fears that are no longer serving you. As we send more healing light down to the kidneys, the storehouse of fear, we overpower it with all of this beautiful, luscious, creamy, golden light down into the kidneys. You can slowly walk yourself back up all the way to a seat. Good. We'll bring the left knee, bend it, bring it in. Begin to make your way down to your back. With your knees bent. So you'll lay down on your back. Put the knees into the chest for a moment, giving them a squeeze. Keep the knees bent at 90 degrees. Extend the arms out to a T. And on an exhale, drop the knees to the right. And if your neck allows for it, you can drop the gaze over to the left-hand side. Try to plug both shoulders into the mat here. Allowing the twist to happen in the mid-back. Relaxing the muscles of the hips. Allowing the twist to happen naturally, organically. You can inhale. Inhale your legs back to center. Exhale the legs over to the left. You can take your gaze over the right shoulder if your neck permits. Staying in this supine twist. Coming into a twist on the other side. Yep, good. You can inhale your legs back to center. And your gaze back towards the ceiling. If there's any final movement or poses that you would like to do, then please go ahead and take those. Maybe it's happy baby, maybe you just want to rock side to side, whatever it may be. Otherwise, you can go ahead and stretch your legs out. Your final resting pose, Shavasana. The legs are long. The arms are long with the palms facing up. You can give your armpits enough space to breathe here. If this is too much on your lower back, feel free to bend your knees. Begin to find stillness, shaking out any uncomfortability, any final tensions before finding complete stillness, taking as long as you need to find that stillness. Allow the body to soften and relax into the mat. Muscles of the face to relax as you relax the jaw. Release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Bringing your awareness back to your breath, back to that each inhale filling you up with warm, luscious, healing light from head to toe. And resting in that warm feeling that often comes after we take a hit or meditate or do some yoga. Rest in that warm feeling, warm blanket surrounding your soul inside and out. If the mind wanders, coming back to that center of warmth. As you inhale. Try to stay in Jasana for as long as you'd like. When you're ready, you can stay and talk, or you can begin to wake yourself up. Wiggling the fingers and toes, rolling out the wrists, the ankles. Oh, stretching nice and long. And in your own time and in your own way, slowly and gently, taking over to your right hand side, using your right arm as a pillow. We'll sit here on the right side in a moment, or for a moment of gratitude. Thanking the plants, the beautiful feminine energy that lives on the left side of our body, for all that she does and all that she supports us with. Thanking her for the guidance she provided to you today on how to overcome the obstacle you'd like to face. Thanking the soil and the worms and the sun and every little tiny living thing that has to take place and do its job to make this happen. In your own time, you can push yourself up, allowing your head to be the last to rise, coming to a comfortable seated position. The eyes can stay closed. Bring your hands to your heart. Allow your head to bow towards your heart. Taking a deep breath in and out. Knowing you can always come back to this space of warmth and light, gratefulness at any time. By connecting mindfully with the breath or mindfully with the cannabis plant. And grounding back down. Inhale the hands to the third eye center. And exhale to seal in and bow, sealing in the benefits of your practice. The light in me honors, sees, and respects the light in each and every one of you. Namaste. Instagram shut off. Facebook, I hope you enjoyed. Love you all. You're great and wonderful. And I'm really high and hungry. I invite everybody to enjoy munchies and all of the goodness that exists in the world. You're allowed to pleasure yourself. Goodbye, Facebook. All right.